Aissatou Smaisise, and today Sierra Network and the Sierra Leone Police Headquarters concerning the press conference where the Sierra Leone Police call. Will they go now the all now, or side the conference will take place?
Today I'm starting with my very self for the introduction. I'm Superintendent Laima Kamara, the Media and Public Relations Officer of Sierra Leone Police. And of course, we also have the other officers around. We are here to answer to your questions, your queries, comments you have to make. On the far right, we have ASP Alhaji Ibrahim Ba. He's not the Alhaji by name, he's the Alhaji by going to Mecca. So he's young, but he went to Mecca last year. I think, was it last year?
2018.
2018. So it's Alhaji Ibrahim Ba. He's a support officer. He's too young, eh? Yeah, but that's it. That's what police can do. He's a support officer, Central Division. In other words, he's twice his second in command. And then, of course, we have the man who is running the affairs there. Normally, we say the local unit commander. We have Superintendent Abubakar Kalon. He's here with us. And of course, my deputy has always been around. He might be somewhere, but my deputy is here. ASP Samuel Saun Conte, and then the website officer is here. Laima Kamara, we have the same name. The admin officer is here as well.
Thank you.
And of course,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have the Director of Crime Services. The Director of Crime Services. Under his portfolio, you can talk about TOKU, you can talk about the Legal and Justice Support Department, you can talk about the CID, you can talk about Interpol. He's no less a person, but AIG Mohammed Namajar.
Thank you.
And then, of course, we have the chairperson as usual, who is the person overseeing the Media and Public Relations Unit, the BAN, the Community Relations Department, and also sports within the police. He is the Director of Community Affairs in the person of AIG Kalia Edward Sisi. So I now hand over to you as chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Superintendent Laima Kamara, for the introductory remarks, and thank you very much for having invited all the members of the 4th Estate to be part of this press briefing today. And today I want to appreciate also the presence of members of the 4th Estate. There are some people who have not been coming for a while, but today we have seen them. Maybe, I don't know whether it's as a result of the issues that are going to be discussed. They are very, very much enthused, enthusiastic about what is about to be discussed. I don't know whether they have been preempting what we are about to do, but nevertheless, it is incumbent on the Sierra Leone Police to be updating journalists as members of the public with regards to the current trend of affairs within the Sierra Leone as a whole. And so I want to thank you very much for being part of this meeting, and members of the SLP, senior officers, I want to acknowledge your presence, and moreover, I want to acknowledge that of Mr. Brahmaja, who is the Director of Crime Services. So on that note, for today's press briefing, we will be looking at a host of issues. We will talk a little bit about some amount of money, that was arrested in Balamuya, and it has been brought over to the Bank of Sierra Leone, and investigations are on with regards to that. And further to that, because of our community engagement, a lot have been realized. We are working with Court Aid, and Court Aid have been doing a lot with regards to 3 pilot stations that are in within the SLP, that is Godrich, Harbour and Waterloo. They are working with the local command unit, and at the same time they are working with the partnership board. When I talk about local command unit, I mean the police officers that are within these 3 divisions, and very soon we'll be rolling out the Code 8 program to other divisions that are in country. And a lot have been done, and the project is a result-based financing project. The more you perform, the more they will be able to resource you and capacitate you to do other programs. And it has been going on well, and we are very, very much appreciative of Code 8 program. As I mentioned earlier on, with regards to the money arrested, the governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone was here yesterday at our management meeting. That is Professor Kelfala Morana Kalon. He was here yesterday at our management meeting, appreciating the work of the Sierra Leone police with regards to this amount and several other issues for which we have provided the needed security. It was so much appreciative of the work we are doing, and today as I am speaking, he is at Balamuya appreciating members of the SLP with regards to the work we are doing at the border crossing point. That shows you that we are on top of situation. The situation is calm and quiet, relatively calm and quiet. I don't know. Okay, I need to mention this. Yesterday, we have in audience Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Madam Fatima Bio. She was with us at the Kington Police Playing Grounds, and there she was able to address members of the SLP and talking about programs, the sanitary parts, and also programs that would be organized at the Bintimani Conference Center. That is on Saturday, and on Sunday another program will take place at the National Stadium, wherein a lot of gospel artists would be around to, you know, charge the atmosphere with you know, songs, religious songs, and other activities will take place at the stadium on Sunday. So she was with us, and the attendance was very good, and we are part of our programs, because even when we started the Hands of Our Girls, we have been supportive of our program, and we will still continue to do same. Last but not the least, maybe, I don't know, I need to mention it, but this is very serious. It is with regards to the Limkokwing University issue, which really I believe we need to update members of the public the current trend of affairs. And we all know that one of the pioneers agency was the Citizen Advocacy Network, and which was being championed by Thomas More Conte. And I believe you want to know what is the current state of affairs. You will be informed accordingly, and we will be interjecting from time to time. But before ever, I will start with that, and then we will go on to the other issues. What I would like to say, Thomas More Conte of Citizens Advocacy Network sent in a letter on the 2nd of March to the Inspector General of Police about giving notice of a possession. In response to that letter, several calls were made to him so that at least we would discuss the modus operandi with regards to this all-important procession, which he was pioneering together with the Limkokwing University. We called. He responded by saying that he will be coming even yesterday at 5. We are waiting. He could not be seen. But prior to that, we acknowledge receipt of his letter. Prior to the calling, a letter was sent to him notifying him to even come over so that at least we will discuss, and he failed to respond to our letter. So, to our surprise, well, not surprised, because we are always people who plan. We are so proactive, and some, they came out and then we responded accordingly, and the Director of Crime Services would update us with regards to the current trend of affairs, and that is why we have the LUC Central, whose domain this protest was taking place. Despite we called, even in the morning, very early in the morning, we called him, not so media one. Yes, could not show up. What more can we do as a board to get him to come? We see that as something which is not too good, because when you send in a letter, we give a response and we ask you to come over, you need to come over. We can plan the modus operandi, how we need, who are the marshals, how many people. We need to ask the relevant questions, and we know how. We look at the situation, and if it is conducive, then we can grant the request. If not, we cannot, based on the current, the trend of affairs. But it failed to show up. And now some arrests have been made, but nevertheless, you'll be updated accordingly. So I think we need to do justice to this all important. I think that is why some of you are here. Immediately we are through with this, I know some of you want to leave, but we will shut our doors for you to listen to the other reports that we have at the moment. So at this moment, I think Mr. Bramaja is a little bit busy, but we'll talk a little bit about. I will start with Mr. Kalon. Mr. Kalon, would you like to step in for a moment or two, and Mr. Bramaja will come in to strengthen your point. Mr. Kalon happens to be the LUC Central. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Like I've been introduced, I am the current local unit commander in charge of the Central Division. The Director of Community Affairs has told you that prior to today, they had received a request from Mr. Moore in respect of their planned possession. He was called on a number of occasions so that he could have engagement with the leadership of the SLP to know the modus operandi that they were going to use. Rightly enough, his request was responded to in terms of having further engagement with him, hence the reason why he was in possession of the reply that was given by the Inspector General of Police. We had got this intelligence hours before this morning that indeed Mr. Moore and his colleagues, or the team on whose behalf he was advocating, had the intention of going ahead with their possession. So we needed not to waste our time, but we are in preparedness for what exactly happened today. So first thing this morning at about 5:30 a.m., I was in my office. I had dispatched my operations team.
Louder.
Yes, sir. I was in my office and I had dispatched the operations team to go around the area where we had sensed they had started assembly. Because according to the request, their intention was to have started the procession right from their university campus. But they had changed their plans and just decided to assemble at an office. I'm now getting to understand that it's the office of Mr. Moore. So when I got this information that they were assembled around Lion Bakery, coming close to Lotto office, I was called upon by my regional police commander, AIG Sovula, to monitor closely the situation. And indeed, I told him that I was going from that moment to the scene where we had detected that they had started assembly. So when I materialized at that scene, I saw a couple of guys dressed in black. So I said to myself, have these guys been given the permit or the fear to go ahead with their procession? So I needed to verify that because I was not in the receipt of any clearance that had been given by the Inspector General of Police. So I further noticed that Mr. Moore was in an office upstairs. So I did not have the alternative because I was informed that he is leading the procession. So myself and the support officer with the other officers who were around climbed up and we are in the office of Mr. Moore. In his intro, he said they had made the application or request for their procession, their plan rules and the like. So he showed me the response of the Inspector General of Police. When I read through, I noticed that the Inspector General of Police had directed, firstly acknowledged receipt or their intention being drawn to his attention that they intended to process right from their campus so that they could express their concerns. But that he, the Inspector General, had directed that the Director of Operations engage with him and the leadership of their group. So as democratic policing demands, I did not prioritize holding them to ransom for what they had already done, because for the simple fact that clearance had not been given to them for them to process, but they were now dressed in black, meant to me that they were going to process at all costs. So in a very diplomatic mood, I told Mr. Moore that the reply of the Inspector General speaks volumes, speaks for itself, that you need to engage with the Director of Operations. So I therefore suggested to him that it would be better for him at that moment, because we are just around 8 o'clock now in the morning, and the time schedule was to have been 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. this morning, that he and his team were to meet with the Director of Operations. So I tried to cajole him to understand by letting him know that the meeting is really going to be held at 10, and therefore it will be better for him to go along with me to the police headquarters. So that we'll wait for the Director of Operations to come and have the engagement with him. A couple of minutes thereafter, as I tried to come down the step, I just saw the whole bunch coming down along. I tried cautioning them that we can't allow them to come to the police headquarters, all of them together as they intended doing, but that I will just take their leadership, I will accompany them to the police headquarters so that we'll come and have the proposed meeting. That was my intention. So when I realized that they had come down the steps and they were now brandishing their placards, they had a megaphone. I took the megaphone and I started talking to them police language, that they were firstly assembling unlawfully, given the fact that no clear permission had been given to them by the Inspector General of Police to process, and therefore I will not permit them to process. I tried to prevail on them, but as it was at the time, the contingent of police officers I had with me were not enough because their numbers were far, far above us. On a number of times, I tried to really draw sense into them, but they could not listen. To my greatest surprise, they bulldozed and in fact just brushed through, even when I had started giving them the warning that if they were to continue, I was going to call for reinforcement to come and use the minimum force required to peacefully disperse them. And indeed, I was in communication with my regional commander, who assured me that he had made necessary arrangements and he himself will be leading his own team and the Delta One also to come and give support. So when they went through, they were focusing on coming to stop at the cutting trees so that the president, as they said, needed to hear their voice. So by the time we arrived at the cutting tree, I still tried to cajole them so that they could conduct themselves well. It was at that point that the reinforcement came, the regional commander came, the director of OSD came and engaged them. They spoke to the regional commander and he told them exactly what I had earlier said, that they must be mindful of the fact that their concerns are legitimate and that this present government, led by His Excellency the President Dr. Julius Malabio, has as his flagship education, and therefore nobody will dispute what legitimate concerns they have in terms of agitating for, as they allege that the government has stopped paying tuition for them, and all of them were on scholarship before them. So Mr. Suvula also tried to tell them that, in fact, the leadership of the SAP had been in consultation with the Ministry of Education, and that up to yesterday, they had got response from the Education Ministry, for which they needed Mr. Moore and his team to get an opportunity to meet with the Director of Operations so that they could be briefed as to the outcome of that engagement with the Ministry of Education. He equally reiterated that they were unlawfully assembled and therefore it will attempt to undermine the peace. He did this. The Director of OSD came on board too, cautioned them on a number of occasions, but they were gravitating into a kind of agitative mood. They in fact climbed up and started singing the national anthem and But at the end of it all, we had a duty that as police officers, if somebody requests for a procession and the Inspector General has the prerogative to assess based on the threat level, he can decide to give or not to give, and that we are there to disperse them peacefully. So the Director of Operations, the Red Paul, gave that warning that they should disperse. They could not heed. Then The Red Paul instructed that we evoke the CCU, crowd control unit, the guys who use the battle. Yes, sir. So that was what, in fact, we ended using, and we tried to exert some force in pushing them back. But as we did, they were still resisting. So we had to go a little above that level by just giving an order that we try to identify the ringleaders who were actually inciting the others. And we got that instruction to effect some arrests, probably, and I think invariably that handled the situation. They were very much violent because at the end of it all, even when we are trying to disperse them, they started raining insult on the police, and we had a responsibility to forestall whatever might undermine the peace of the day. So at the end of it, some arrests were made, and as we speak, the Director of Crime Services is in a better position to respond to the progress of that investigation so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kalon. You are so loud, audible, and so clear. And now we are in a position we now have a full knowledge of what really transpired. Being in black, what does that signify? Or is just a color?
No, it's not question time yet.
It's not question time.
We're going to do full presentation. No, wait. It's rhetorical. He actually did not expect an answer.
Please be patient enough. If
Did
we
not
do it
expect
orderly,
an
all
answer.
of you would have your own turn to speak. I'm just bringing out the points. 2. Not only the police have informed them that we wanted a dialogue and even send a letter to him. This is the letter.
Yeah.
No. I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me, brother. You will have your turn to answer. Or if you want, I will read the letter. I will read same. It's directed to Thomas Moore Conte, Executive Director, Citizen Advocacy Network, CAN, 48 Shekhar Stevens Street, Freetown. There, Thomas Moore Conte. Notice of procession. I am directed to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 2nd, and this was dated the 4th. After persistent calls, which he failed to respond to, but later on in the day, he indicated that he would be here at 5 o'clock, which he never did. And even in the morning, he was called again. Bordering on the above subject, and to state that it has received the attention of the Inspector General of Police. I am further directed to invite you to a meeting with the Director of Operation, Mrs. Elizabeth of A to A, AIG, on 076. The number was given to you. 786-727. At Police Headquarters on Thursday, 5th March 2020 at 10:00 hours for further discussions. We count on your cooperation. Yours faithfully, Ishmael Keita, for Inspector General of Police. Copy. Deputy Inspector General of Police, the Director of Operations, SLP, the Director of Community Affairs, that's my humble self. I'm copy. And the regional police commander, Freetown West, was also informed. He responded by saying he's coming 5. He could not be seen. And so thereafter, the Ministry of Education also informed the police. We contacted the Ministry of Education, had dialogue with them, and they informed us that they too are working out or putting in place a meeting with Mr. Thomas More Conte. All these were being put in place, and he was also contacted. So all we are saying, we did a lot. If he had come, maybe we would not have reached this length. We come, we discuss. Even if he will go back and wants to do something, he is in a better position to have judged. Yeah. Look at the modus, the pros and the cons, weigh everything before ever he would get back to the street. But quite apart from all this, listening to the LUC stating that you even went to the office, spoke with him, try to explain to him the ramification or what would the causes be, how it can be hijacked, and some of these issues we have mentioned. And later all of them just rushed in a violent manner.
Not that even the presidential convoy was redirected. So it's something serious. No, don't mention that.
And traffic was stalled. We had to be diverting traffic. And others want to, hijack the entire thing. Would we sit down as a police force? So, thereafter, we are able to use the minimum force. That tells you how your police are very professional.
We are on top of it.
No, some people didn't know that anything happened within the central business because we were able to quickly handle the situation and it was brought under control. So, he is a friend. Well, not a friend per se. Let me don't go to that. But we know each other. And I see, the closest friend of him, you're out there, he has been coming to this room severally for press briefing, and we discuss. If I happen to call him, or Media One calling him, at least he should have shown up. He should not have entertained any fears. There was nothing to fear about. He can come and then we discuss. Yes, there was an other issue before this time with you. Why am I forgetting your name? Babadi. There was an issue, not so. We invited him and we discussed. We even made an agreement prior to this time, not so.
Yeah, we had an MOU.
We signed an MOU.
Yeah, but that does not include us.
No, you will have your turn. You will have your turn.
You don't make a reference.
Yeah, but let him.
MOU was prepared, and we came to this room. We had a joint press briefing.
Exactly.
And we were able to speak with one voice.
Yes.
I am not saying that it will take that trend, but had it come over, we would have been able to discuss, and whatever thing he wants to do is left with him. So this is the current position. Mr. Bamaja, do you want to make any additions with regard to the arrests that have been made and some of the findings? Or
thank you very much. Actually, I'm not going to start from where they started. You've had it all. The endeavor the police made, how the police restrained, and through professional conduct, they were at pain but restrained themselves to ensure that they understand that there are procedures. And this is not just confined to Sierra Leone. World over, when you want to process, you inform the police. The reason is common. There are several reasons for that. One, you engage with them as how they are going to police your procession. Two, if you have marshal, they can cooperate and collaborate with the police so as to ensure that your objective is achieved. without any disturbances. Lastly, I must say, there are at times hoodlums who want to take advantage of whatever is happening to hijack and actually bring total disorder. And that is why they call you. There are instances where there are those demonstrating in favor and those against. Police will ensure that the two groups will not meet, so that they do within their own areas provided peacefully. And there are instances, those processing will say, we want to use a particular route. If that route is dangerous, it will lead to disorder. Police will say, okay, we accept you to process, but please use this other end. And those are all the reasons why we call people to come, to sit with us, to discuss with us. And as Mr. Ese just said, there was an incident involving 91 where he wrote the same letter as he has done. The police summoned him and his colleagues. They came over here, we deliberated, and we actually reached common ground. It was resolved without the intended demonstration. Now, today, they decided not to listen at all. And let me make it very clear, we will not allow just a handful of people to be actually taking the state to ransom. No. There is a laid down rule, we follow it, and this is not only about Sierra Leone here. When they mention professionalism, some of you will say, oh, but that was as their catalog, you will see how professional the police has been. Not because some journalists were arrested and so you really cried down the police, but it was professionally done. He refused to come even when he received a letter after several phone calls. A phone call was indicated, that of the operations officer, for her to be contacted, or that exhibits professionalism of the Sierra Leone police. All that wooing him to come over and his colleagues to sit down. You see, a church's cell is better than war. And so we call them, we sit together, we discuss issues and find a way forward. Now, they refused. The polite request, even on the D-Day today, since they were to process around 10, and that was a bit early, they were asked to come to police headquarters so that to see how best they will be able to handle this. That was turned down. In fact, traffics were diverted. We did not have any other option but to get them arrested. The law is supreme, bigger than all of us here. And so where we still, in professional manner, tell you what to do, and you are still doing the wrong thing, we'll have to arrest you. We have a total of 50 arrested. 50 arrested. They are going through the normal police investigation, and hopefully they will be in court in the morning. This is their... No, he's my friend, but he knows when it comes to commitment to police job, we go that way. Now, this is to tell all of us, I'm a journalist myself. The only thing we say, I'm a journalist in the police. Is a journalist. We are all of us here. We are all journalists. In fact, I was part of the first set of police officers trained in journalism. Because initially, we are not calling you to tell you what we are doing. And so people were guessing and writing terrible things. So when we are putting together policies to develop the SLP to rear professional police force, we decided that, look, we call them, we let them understand what we are doing. If there are areas they should not know because it will hamper the investigation, we let them understand that. And so that is why you find out that you don't pay consultation fees to talk to police officers. My office is open, and by 8 I'm in my office. I leave after 8. You call only to confirm if I'm there. Any one of us will discuss and then agree or disagree, and we tell you why we are disagreeing. So this is actually to let you know, and the wider public, that when people intend to process, The procedures are clear. You inform the Inspector General of Police. The Inspector General of Police may or may not grant you permission, but in most cases we call you. We discuss with you. If we are going to grant you permission, who are the marshal? How is it going to be policed? So that those who actually want to bring about total disorder will not hijack it. And so those are the reasons. It is all geared towards public safety. We don't want a situation where people will just demonstrate, they begin to break down windscreens of cars, they go on looting items from shops. No. So it has to be orderly. And it is for that reason, to still ensure there is safety and security of the people, that we call you. We call them to sit together to discuss. So let the journalists understand this and the wider public. That's when that is ignored, then that will amount to violation. If you do it, you will be assembling in a lawful and unlawful manner, and whatever you'll be doing will be lawful because it hasn't got legitimacy. And that is why they were arrested, and they are now helping the police. Hopefully, if we are able to conclude the investigation today, they will be in court in the morning. That is all for that one.
Thank you very much. I believe you. Do you have any other one?
I'll touch on the 22nd when there was a problem at the Guinean embassy of Jomo Kenyatta Road. On the 1st of March was slated to have been the day they will have conducted a parliamentary election and referendum for, I think, the third term, yes, constitutional amendment that will actually allow the current president to go the third term. And there are people who are quite opposed to that, say the main opposition, quite opposed to that. And so that on that fateful day at around 14:30 hours on the 22nd of February, CID headquarters received information that the Guinea embassy of Jomo Kenyatta Road, Freetown, was violently attacked by some Guineans, Sierra Leoneans. They are Sierra Leoneans. These are people with dual nationalities. When they are voting, they ask to actually have them register. They register, they vote. When we are conducting election here, they also vote. So they are both Guineans and Sierra Leoneans, but resident here. So they went to the point of actually disarming the OSD on guard. He seriously beaten. He had to be rushed to Connaught Hospital. Luckily, he responded to treatment. He has been discharged. One fellow, a Guinean, was killed in the said violent attack by the name of Abdoulaye Jallo, alias Malona. Is said to be off Allen Street, number 18 Allen Street of Model Secondary School. So initially, 7 people were arrested. When police finally got there, some people provided safety for those who actually attacked the embassy. And so when police were conducting on the spot search, they were able to arrest up to 5 of those for harboring. And 2 of those actually involved. Between the 2, there was one, they said, actually representing the main opposition party that was opposed to the constitutional amendment referendum. The police further made some engagements, covered operations, and we have been able to arrest 8 ESA members that we got information were responsible for the death of this Guinean. They are now in custody. The 7 people initially arrested, 6 were released on bail. The 5 who were brought in for harboring, the one who actually was here or is here to represent the main opposition to ensure that the entire process has credibility. He has been granted bail while investigation will continue. So the 7 individuals initially arrested, one remained with the police because that was the one actually that removed the AK-47 from the security guard, and some shots were released, so he is with us. And then the 8 ESA members arrested for the murder of Ablai Jallo Elas Maluna. They are with the police helping the investigation. We understand that the said election and constitutional amendment referendum has been postponed for 2 weeks. That is all for now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bremaja, Director of Crime Services.
Thank you.
And I wanted to take another issue, but if I take another sensitive issue, I think we will spend the whole day here. I think let's do justice because everyone is interested.
Which one is that way? Okay. But even this diamond, sorry, this dollar, we need to bring it. I mean, 49,150.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think let me not draw the curtain now.
Yeah.
I just see it very necessary to bring this other one to this August body. 49,150 United States dollars arrested at the crossing point to Guinea. You may be aware that the Bank of Sierra Leone came with regulations. That regulation is as a result of the powers handed down by the act they are operating under. So sensitizations were made for people to understand that you can legitimately possess 10,000 United States dollars and not above that. They are not saying you will not deal in money beyond $10,000. No. Have a foreign account. If you have more than $10,000, the one exceeding that, put it into the account. If you transact, if you want, I mean, you've expended the $10,000 legitimately in your possession, you will go back to the bank and withdraw the one you is in the bank. Yeah. But when you exceed 10,000, we always, after arrest, refer you to the bank governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone, and the 10,000 which you are supposed to have will be given to you, and then the other one, the bank actually will take possession of it. We say this over and over again. Those who are coming into the country, because people were playing politics about that, even those who are entering, they will seize them. When you come into the country, you have a breathing space, about 3 days. Yeah, you declare 3 days to make sure you go to the bank, you do the processing. So a fellow was going across to Guinea, and he was arrested by the police at the border. He was brought under escort by the LUC there, ITZ, thoroughly. They went straight to the Bank of Sierra Leone. And so we are bringing this for the wider public again, to know that, look, people are saying, why should this continue happening? We want them to, that this is an old law. If we go back to the period of late Sheikh Stevens, when people were coming here, they were taking their foreign account, they were taking their foreign currency to the bank, and when you are spending it, by the time you are crossing back, in fact, they were required to show receipt of how you were removing it and that sort of stuff. And so it's the same thing here now. If you trade in what you are trading in is more than 10,000, have a foreign account, you put it there. If you finish using this, you want additional amount, you go and take more. You bring it. And so that is how things are happening.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, we went to Niger. For you to actually cash money is difficult. I'm not saying they don't have those of our brothers standing along the streets. They change the foreign currency. They have. But somebody will whisper in your ears. Though you hear them whispering, for them to even consult and see where they will be able to find somebody that will do that. But I will say, go to the bank. Go to the bank. You go to some place.
I want to start first with the 91 issue that you mentioned.
That was just a reference.
It's a reference. Yeah. You have to study the past compared to the present for the benefit of the future. My name is Marcos Bangura, Executive Director for Democracy Sierra Leone. Of course, the 91 issue, a letter was written to the police. They responded. We were called. We came here. We resolved it. And the demonstration did not hold. With what you told us that the issue will be investigated, and up till now, we've not got any information about that. So that is a very serious issue. So based on that, Thomas More and the students of Limkokwing University applied civility to the highest degree. They wrote letters. First, they were arrested at the Ministry of Education. That was the time they met with Thomas More. I'm saying this for those who have parochial knowledge about what happened from the start of it all. You understand? Yes. Okay. I'm talking about generally. But that one is okay. Now, I want to mention the activity that took place in the Guinean embassy and the spate of violence that was empirical at that particular occasion. That is to say, the Guinean embassy crisis, as I want to call it. And the demonstration that took place today. We have evidence, video evidence, of Mr. Kalon? Mr. Kalon went there, spoke with Thomas More and some of the students, and he even gave them confidence. We have video evidences to that.
Confidence
that he will work with them, he will be with them in the procession, and he was there. And in fact, you are talking about traffic, you diverted traffic. If you look at the video, there was no way traffic was obstructed. We are living in a modern world. We are no longer living in a society that is not civilized. For anything that happens, it is easy for it to be seen. And after Thomas More and others applied civility, Thomas More wrote you on the 2nd. You replied on the 4th. Delay defeats equity. I'm expecting the police to be proactive. I'm expecting the police to be proactive. But since that particular letter was written, the police did nothing or little to salvage the situation. Yes, I want to say it with a clear-cut mind. And after that, it was only yesterday, in fact, Thomas More did not receive this letter. If you can justify that you gave the letter to Thomas More, you called him. Has it become a crime, or when has it amount to a crime that you called somebody to a meeting, the person did not attend? And because of that, because from what you said,
with a promise,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You called me to a meeting. You called me to a meeting. Yes, because of the time he told you that he will come, and he did not come. So what is the rationale behind the arrest? Is it because you invited him to a meeting and he did not attend the meeting? So because of that, and when Mr. Kalon went there, he processed with them. He processed with them up to the cutting tree. And then we are there, and the intention of Thomas More was after they could have reached at that at the cutting tree, then they will go and attend the meeting that you called.
When the procession is done,
are you reasonable?
I'm very, very reasonable.
The public is hearing.
Yes, the public is hearing me. That is why the public is hearing all of us. For us to say that the procession was violence we have to be very, very careful. It makes one heart to knock in his ribs. And it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And you spoke about color. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm addressing you as well. Understand? Right? Now let me ask you a question.
If you want, you can make a detailed statement.
I don't have to make a detailed statement. But what I want to say, there has never been a time that people have decided to come on a demonstration that you allowed those individuals to come out. You have always endeavored to make sure that the demonstration are foiled. You have done that on several occasions. You understand? So now Thomas More and others have been arrested. And for God's sake, Edmond Abu made a demonstration at Parliament and walked through to the immigration office without noticing you. You did nothing at the presence of the police. You did nothing to that. We have to be very careful. And Thomas More notify you. Irrespective of the fact that he notified you, you turned blind eyes and deaf ears to that. And Thomas More decided to come out today. You arrested him. And you look at the way you treated them. There are videos to that. We have footages to that. Most of them we are beaten, we are manhandled. Is that the way the police should operate? The police should not work in that situation. You understand? So as a result of that, it is an advice to our Sierra Leoneans. Those guys out there have been caught in the way for 6 months. They were outside. They have not been attending classes. And yet they decided to use all means possible in terms of civility. They informed the police. My question is, why at all times the police have never been able to manage procession? Rather, you transform it into arrest and detention.
All right.
Okay. I'll be short. I am Joseph Sano, Executive Director for Hill Sierra Leone. This is my first time of coming here, so thank you for giving me the. Firstly, I want to ask a question. Bail, bail. I hope, are they entitled to bail? That is one. If yes, can our brothers, our sons, our colleagues, can they be granted bail today after they have given their statements? That's number one. Number two, are they entitled to bail? Can they be granted bail?
For clarity.
This is for clarity. And the other thing is, he talks about Edmond. I will not say Edmond did not get a permit, but I will ask you.
Maybe apply for
Wait, was Edmond granted permit? That is number two. Finally, the issue about have to write the police have to give approval. There is a law in place. Can we have a court? Our courts are there to interpret our laws, because these things have been happening from John was a boy. Can we have a court to interpret this so that every Sierra Leonean, because people, when you talk, people say no, we should come out by force. That is our right. You understand? And then the police say, no, you don't have to come out. We have to give you a clearance. Can we have a court to interpret this so that Sierra Leoneans can understand? Thank you very much.
Yes, Thomas Obadi, Executive Director, First Lane. Executive Director, First Lane. Forum of Sierra Leonean Youth Network, First Lane. One concern, SARS. Mr. Ja, Mr. Kylie, one concern. Please, I hope you've put in place apparatus, security apparatus, to foil any problem at the Mufti Menk program at National Stadium by Sunday, so I don't know. Like it happened the last time, we had serious problem, or tomorrow, I don't know, at National Stadium. So please ensure that there is maximum security, at that place, because it will be crowded. That's one. Number two, to your friends, our MOU does not preclude us from being actively involved in activism and talk to the issues, engage people, and help solve problems. Thomas More was in the position of solving problems. You police, we are at 110. In front of you, ballot boxes were damaged. No arrest was made. Secondly, police at Tonkolimba chiefdom, a cousin of mine was killed, fired bullet. Nobody was arrested. Today you've arrested 50. We are so peaceful in a Limkokwing t-shirt, which of course we all know it is black. That's their color. That's their everything of them. They have no color. It's black, and it's the logo is on the t-shirt. You arrested them. You beat up some girls, which you saw on the video. It's all over viral now. It's unfortunate. So we are saying that we are friends of the police. We love the police because we are Sierra Leoneans. But again, the way the police are behaving in recent times, your personnel are very, very unprofessional, sir. That is why you are classed among the 10 worst institutions in the world. Yes. Sir, totally, sir. So, yeah. Totally. My question, sir. Is it clear, is it true that in 65 Public Order Act, which you all know, is it true in the 1965 Public Order Act? Is it true? Subban is here. Come for governance. Very good. Amnesty International. CGG. Yeah. Is it true that before you possess peacefully, you're supposed to be given clearance? Part 3 dictates the pace of possession publicly. That we know. Part 5 deals with journalists. And I want to advise the journalists that are here. Please give them blackout for arresting your colleagues who went to go and report and they were arrested. Give them blackout. Can that cause the damage?
I'm here now, sir.
Okay, I am for the Moriba country and I write for the Calabar. Firstly, I want to know on which basis that the journalists were arrested. The journalists were arrested.
I'm going to address that. These are things I like to address. When you raise issues with regards to law, I like to address them. So let me start with this one. Section 17. What does it say? You only made reference to 17.1. That one has to do with the notification. You notify the Inspector General of Police. You go down there. It says the Inspector General of Police. In fact, it is not even Inspector General. It is only by Act number 6 of 1991, that is the Constitution of Sierra Leone. We are not talking about the Inspector General. But in those days, we were talking about the Commission of Police. And so it says it is the responsibility of the Inspector General of Police to write to the person who wrote, notifying him about the possession. That is the law. You have to write, you understand? And when you write, you have to indicate whether you are going to grant or you are not going to grant. But we are guided, go and read it again, you are guided by that same law. That if you are going to grant, you're going to look at what we call public morality, you're going to look at what we call public order, you're going to look at what we call public safety, and what we call defense. Go and read the law. We are talking about law now. Go and read the law. I'm already reading the law. I'm reading the law in the university. So I speak what I know. Go and read the law of section 17.
Let's forget about the university law.
That is it. He brought law. He brought law. He brought the issue of law. So now I'm talking. I'm now talking about this. So if we're up country, you talk about the paramount chief. Go and eat. Go and eat it. Yeah. So let's be very frank on that. Do you want to come and intimidate the police?
Intimidation. Let's go to the issue.
You are telling me as if we do not know. You ask as if we do not know. These are things to know. Yes, my brother.
Yes, thank you. I have two questions. The first one is, I'll go the line with my brother. On what basis we are the journalists and students?
Yes.
And secondly, is what they expect of the media. We invite 2 of the students as guests right at AYV Media Empire, and they were arrested inside the building.
Wow.
Right inside the building. Why were they arrested? And finally, I think I want to join my colleague to plead, please grant the journalist bail.
Please.
The students now as well and the civil society.
Yes, Amora.
I am Alfonso Jubeyangani. I work with the Human Rights Defenders Network. I'm here basically to express our concern.
Okay, please.
The strategic level of the Sierra Leone Police, which is the police headquarters here.
Yeah.
We are from the operational level, and we are reliably informed that the 50 people that have been arrested are going to be charged for incitement. That is one of the information we got from the investigators. And we are very much, concerned, and we appreciate, the proactive role and response by the Sierra Leone police to effect an arrest, to investigate, and to prefer charges. And according to AIG crime, they may face trial tomorrow. They are going to court. Possibly, they may be going to court tomorrow. And we are now looking at the day of the letter that had been sent by Thomas Mowati on the 2nd. We had a response on the 4th. Today, they demonstrated they were arrested, investigated, and prosecuted by tomorrow. This is the way the police responds to action. But one thing we want to establish, because we had AIG Community Services suggesting that the Sierra Leone police, they have done their job on the principles of democratic policing. So I will put aside the regime policing to concentrate on the aspect of democratic policing. Why am I concentrating on the principle of democratic policing? Is what we are now doing. If it is technically your conduct was based on the principles of democratic policing, we are now suggesting to you from the human defenders angle that you give a second thought for the people that are being investigated not to face trial tomorrow, so that we sit together with the Sierra Leone police, this strategic level. Let's sit together and discuss the issue. If the people that are being arrested did not use or advocate violence, we want you to take a second thought to make sure that we meet together at the strategic level to discuss, to make sure that we protect the rights of the defendants that have been arrested.
Thank you, sir.
They are just demonstrating their rights. So that's my own.
Nice. Yes, I am Sakendima.
I think
allow him now.
Let him flow. Let him flow.
I know him.
So I am Sakendima, the programs manager at Campaign for Good Governance. I've got 2 questions. One, those arrested are the Sierra Leoneans. Are they entitled, or do they have the right to protest? And based on the placard that you saw, were there any inciting messages on those placards? And the final one would be of scene in Liberia, where protesters are provided with water by the police. Can we see a replica of that?
Our police are professional.
Yes, Alusai Sise, editor of Concord Times. Now that editor of Concord Times.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that you decided, because your statement is affirmative, decided to charge all the 50 people to come tomorrow. And what will be the status of the journalists who were there doing their own job as journalists? And their ID cards were displayed and were arrested by the police. What will be their status?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Public
review.
Your name?
My name is
Dumbia. You have Dumbia. What's your name?
First of all, I want to know the
Brian
number of journalists being arrested.
Ja.
Number 2 question that I want to ask. Mr. Ja mentioned that journalists do not pay to see me.
Yes.
And as a public servant, of course, I'm done what I'm a journalist and pay to see him. I want to know who or what were the people that normally pay.
I know you are not prepared.
Through the point.
Yes.
Let us see how free it is to access us.
You are not prepared.
Okay. From the Human Rights Defenders Network, for Partnership for Justice in Sierra Leone. I could still recall when I was young, growing up in police barracks, when I used to ask my dad, "What do you mean about orders from above?" And then he said, "Why are you asking?" I said, "Because each day I tune up to the radio, I'll hear the police say it's an order from the above." And then one fine Sunday after church, He called me and said, let me come and give you the answer for what we mean by orders from above. He said, orders from above is when you don't want to give answers. So the police, because they don't want to give us answers, at that particular time they will say it's an order from above. But for this case, it is clear that 1,000 students are aggrieved based on their rights that they are to exercise. Less than 200 of them assembled. Now the matter is still there. 1,000 students. Is the police going to address their grievances? Are we going to see more arrests when we have the 950 remaining? That we are talking about a continuous problem that needs to be addressed, not by the police. The issue at hand has to do with education. The Minister of Education, we have not heard anything from them, meaning the problem is still there, lying, growing, and when it becomes a boomerang in our society, we will see other students following queue. The question is, will the police address the grievances of the Limkokwing students?
No, they will not. Honestly, we've had a mouthful. Not enough. Okay, Carl.
Yes, I'm Bakar from Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. I have just a single question.
Yes.
And from the statement you made, you said the possession led to public safety threats. What are the indicators you have that the possession of those students there were security risks? What are those indicators? We didn't hear people complaining about thieving or so. Indicators.
So
what
you,
are the
yes, I want council.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Dumbia, Executive Director, League of Democracy. My first question is this. Was there any threats posed by the possession? 2, by your own interpretation of the law, dealing with the relevant section which you have mentioned, has clearly
mentioned it.
No, I'm coming. Okay, let's assume you've interpreted it. Now you've clearly stated that indeed they have not done anything wrong, which is illegal. Because by the interpretation which you have given is that when you look at the section holistically, it simply means you've given the literal, but the spirit, the intention of that particular provision simply means that permission, prohibition, and conditions are actually being seen. The section does not talk about giving permission. The section simply means that you can give conditions, you can give burden.
Based on those public
you can give burden to the individual who is actually doing the possession by saying, if anything happens, you will be held responsible. Did you do that? No.
Let me accept your question.
I'm not done yet.
Let's leave that one. Let us can hand up now.
Okay.
That's one is okay.
You have to go back to press.
Yes, sir.
Maybe after here we will go and have another bigger exercise.
No problem.
Gentlemen, excuse me. Mohammed Kamal, I'd like to say, Pastor. Day in and night out, with all their spent time watching the international media, when journalists cover demonstrations and protests. This is enough to tell you that we are just mediators between governments and society. What has the journalists told? What wrong have they done by covering a proposed demonstration? Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm Subandi of Amnesty International.
Wrong arrest. Wrong arrest.
More often than not, we see the police brutalizing protesters, especially when, according to them, they are unauthorized. So really, the question is, when we see a professional police policing an authorized possession, when do we see that?
So I'm going to allow Jete to ask the last question.
Last one. All right. Well, actually, for me, at least I just want to make it brief. Right. So today, actually, just coming from the provinces, so I was really a bit surprised, right, for me to hear that, of course, you know, some of my colleagues, of course, journalists, right, were arrested. So I just want to make a plea. I just want to join at least a line of my colleagues that JTL has been covering security news, especially for the Southern Police, for the past years, almost 10 years now in the media. Especially now, when we use it's constant Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They are not talking about Creole before they left here. I call them that maybe they left them. Whenever you serious note, because you call that right, and it's blackout.
Now, okay, I want to appreciate the atmosphere here and the questions that have been posed to us. Are you living? Your appeals. Your appeals to release, to do what not. I want to state here that the matter is under active investigation. It doesn't mean that all of them will be charged to court. But whilst investigating, they will look those that have committed serious violations of the law, those will be brought to book. But let's wait and see what will become of the investigations, which is being spearheaded by the Director of Crime Services. It can be 50 arrested, but a very small number might go to court or not. To say that they will go tomorrow, it will happen or not, maybe the investigation will still continue. I want to state here that the AYV, those that were arrested, journalists, we will look at the circumstances. Some of this information are trickling in. We will view same, look at their involvement. Maybe they have got themselves involved and then they find their way to AYV to take over. We never know. Okay, I'm just assuming. I am just assuming maybe. Okay, maybe they are not journalists. Okay, they were invited for a program. But let's wait and see. You have brought this to our notice and be patient with us, and then we will link up with the investigators to see what has been
but just
there.
for information, we have footages and we are going to hear.
No problem. No problem. No problem.
May I make a request?
And also, we are responding.
No, because he said they want to put footages.
No problem.
We don't want to see something like a give and take or I fight, you fight. Can we give ourselves probably a respite position to see how we engage the police tomorrow morning in the event of, so that we put everything on hold and let's finalize?
Everybody has. Maybe you would agree with that, others would not agree. But it's left with you to do whatever thing you want to do with your information. Another point you raised, Mr. Subandi, the point you raised about how active Mr. Momo Conte, sent in his letter on the 2nd and we responded on the 4th. The incident, they assembled very early in the morning. Mr. Kalon was there, being proactive. That shows you we are very proactive. Not only that, see now we are having a press conference today to inform members of the public of what has happened. Are we not proactive? We have called Mr. Momo Conte severally. Even before sending this letter, we called him. He even promised that he is coming, yesterday at 5. He refused.
Hand over the letter to him. What letter was given to him?
But my friend,
he showed me
Let
the
us hear that
letter.
from him, please.
Yeah, hear what Mr. Kalon is saying. Mr. Kalon, he showed you the letter, not so. He showed Mr. Kalon the letter.
He processed with them.
No,
You
he
did
did not listen.
No.
He did not listen.
All right.
He did not listen.
Please, we are coming.
He did not listen.
So we are turning it round to tell you that we are very professional. Because we are addressing the issue even now. That shows you that we consider this matter very seriously. They are our brothers, they are Sierra Leoneans, most of them. For now, I think I can say, yeah, I can say, but the investigation maybe will bring more information out. Listen, be patient with me. Be patient with me. And so, they are Sierra Leoneans. Another person was asking that there were no traffic diversion. You don't know. Maybe we are looking where they were processing from. The other areas we have to divert. Other roads leading to that, to the cotton tree. Okay, listen. Granting bail. The matter is under investigation. Those that need to be granted bail, we will do same, but we will look at it. If it does not warrant a bail, we will not. We move and do everything by the law. For those other matters in the region or Edmond Abu, this and that, I want us to zoom more on this issue and try to see what we can make out of it. So please, for the time being, and we are very professional. Has there been any death?
No, not even an injury. No injury.
No, that shows you our reaction. No, but our reaction too has been peaceful. Listen.
Ask questions.
Be patient.
Wait for the response.
We are planning to shoot a box to the police.
All right.
Okay.
Wait, Mr.
Babadi.
Excuse us.
Babadi,
wait.
Don't make insightful statements. Even when you are commenting here, we are making very derogatory remarks, insightful statements. I know how close you are with Thomas More content. I know. You particularly are very close, and so you must be careful of your utterances.
To the police, I will expect them to do things in conformity.
So please, we'll do all our level best to see how these matters go, but we cannot promise you that no one will be charged to court, but we are going to look at it professionally. Give us time to do our work, please. That is why we want you to inform members of the public. There is nothing we will be hiding. We are so transparent and open. That is why we are making our record in the international scene. The best peacekeeping nation in Sierra Leone.
No, you ask questions. We are responding.
We are highly acclaimed internationally in peacekeeping operations. It's true. So, when you talk, most of these issues, we have a human face. These people are our brothers. They are our sisters, and that is why we tread cautiously. And we hope you will inform members of the public accordingly. Mr. Brahmaja.
Yes, I'll actually come to Edmond Abu, Jr. You may recall that there was a time, was it fear increase? And then he conducted the same incident like this nature. He wrote to the police, he was invited, he refused to come. He said he had the right to demonstrate. By the time they started demonstrating, other people were tearing the portraits of the president.
Yeah.
We arrested him. In fact, he was arrested and taken to crime prevention. I went there personally to tell him that, you see the problem you've created? That was why we were calling. For you to come, sit, and discuss with us how to police the procession. You were double sure that nothing was going to happen. How can you defend the tearing of those portraits? So he too was arrested. just like Thomas More Conte, line of communication opened. On
Telephone
the
number.
very day the letter was delivered. It was because we came to realize that he was not going to turn up that we decided to write now and then to write and invite him, which he did not come. Bill, if you go to section 17 of Act number 6 of the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone, it provides 3 and 10 days. So within that period, if we are able to conclude the investigation and say it's necessary for bail to be granted, we may. Now, I'm coming to that young man there. Order from above.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm no order from above.
When I'm reading through WhatsApp, no, let me make it clear to you. When I'm reading through WhatsApp at times 2 o'clock in the morning or 3, there are complaints I see. WhatsApp officers concerned to investigate. I will not sit idling by until I'm told to do something which I should do, for which I am paid, and then I'll wait until I get instruction from above. No. If I'm going through the WhatsApp and then there are complaints which have not been recorded, which have not properly been addressed, I call the officers concerned. I know them down in the morning. I call them. I ask them, bring the case and inquiry file. I don't have to wait until the matter gets to Inspector General of Police. No. So the idea, and honestly, I'm nearly 33 years in the place. By June 6th, I'll be 33 in this police force.
I will celebrate that day.
You understand? I really, for this whole period, we have not had order from above.
No.
No. Honestly.
Except from IG
like
to
IG
me.
to us, but if you are order from above,
from where?
It's from the politicians. No. I'm really telling you sincerely, we have not had order from above.
So what happened today? Was it by order?
No,
we are making that clear to you.
We need to make it clear here. No orders. That was why this man was out at so early in the morning.
With our brother there, the MOU will not constrain you from doing what you think you do. But MOU are there actually to bring organizations closer and for issues to be addressed without actually resulting to disorder. And so, whether you are going to go your different path, I believe when we call you, you can come and sit with us. We discuss. If you are not going to accept, you will refuse to accept. But then it is always proper for you to come and sit with us.
Yeah.
It's because we think we need you, you need us. That's why we went through the length of actually having MOU with you. So please take note of that, my brother Babadi. It's not deliberate for people to be arrested, but people are arrested as the last resort to forestall any disorder. If you could clearly listen to Mr. Kalon here, though they refused to come to the call of the Inspector General of Police, but when he went there, they still had about 2 hours to the actually stated period for procession. He asked them to come to the police so that we could look into these issues. They refused. It's just like inviting somebody. For example, if you invite somebody to your house and then the behavior is not quite, you are not quite comfortable. You say, okay, I called you here, but I'm not quite okay with you. Could you go home?
The telephone number was there.
Could you go home now? You give him some time. If he refused, you cannot say, Bona, you called me and I go. Willful trespass. We called him, we wrote a letter, and that letter was reinforced this morning.
With the telephone.
With a very senior police officer, the LUC.
And the telephone number.
The telephone number and everything. He refused to adhere to that. And the idea as whether we'll sit together, discuss, rather than sending the matter to court, we'll take a note of this, we'll discuss it and see the way forward. Whether those arrested are Sierra Leonean, yes. They are.
Except the investigation proves
the status, I'm coming, the status of the journalists, the evidence will determine whether, who to be charged. They have assembled them, that's why investigation is going to be conducted. It's on the face of the evidence that the police will determine who and who to be sent to court.
Okay.
Somebody asked, what are I did not get that, please. Sorry. All right. Somebody asked, what are the indicators of public security threat? I showed you an example in the case of Mr. Edmond Abu. No, I'm coming. If we have allowed them to process further, you don't know what would have happened as they were coming along processing. People would have joined in, people would have been doing something else. Because they have not, no, because we have not given them the required number of police that will be able to police them. And so people will join in and create disorder. That is actually a threat to public safety and security.